Oh Lord. Again. A fucking again.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Jamsys, and in celebration of Pride Month and being who you are, I'm officially gonna come out as a cleaver. I'm just kidding. But I am going to experiment with a more cleave heavy comp this video, you know, just for fun. A lot of people like to call me a cleaver, but I think that's just because that's just how Conquerlius works, is that she's kind of like a flexible, aggressive option, which can be played more cleave or more aggro depending on what the opponent's draft. But today, we're cringe. People are in preseason trying to have fun, and I'm like, oh, we don't do that around here, and we're gonna pick really try hard and cleave picks because, you know, I've always wanted to try it out. And one of my good friends from my E7 guild was like, you should try this out, it's really fun, and with your gear you should be pretty decent at it. And I was like, bet. I'm always here to disappoint people's expectations of me, you know? So yeah, up against their first opponent, Rico Suave, they're picking pretty okay. APOC is not that fun, but Bad Cat is really fun. But I immediately follow up my Politis pick with Amid and Redrid because we're cringe and we're gonna cleave. Like, it's just how it is. I kinda am feeling bad because they're picking Bad Cat Armin, and Bad Cat Armin's like a pretty non-meta, let's try to have fun pick. We shall see. This comp is actually really good at dealing with a lot of these anti-cleave picks such as Karina, Sage Ball, and other things just because of the nature of Politis and stuff, and Amid. But I will show that this comp is not a one-trick pony, and it actually can do a lot of things depending on the draft. Just because having souls and like 60% CR push is really fair and balanced if you're not contested. And even if you are contested, it's fine. Okay, here we go. My opponent's whipping out the anti-fun counter gaming. I'm a lot more scared of Armin than I am of Emoter. Oop. Sorry to say. I was thinking of picking Bryceria just for the Soul Burn ER strip, but then I kind of need a second opener. And the second opener for this comp is mainly going to be Flan, just because she has like the really flexible death break and push. Yeah, this comp works too if you don't have my speed. My Amid is like around 305 and my Flan is around 290, which is like on the fast trend for these units. Well, they're not like super fast. Like there's someone in my guild with like a 315 Amid or something, which is like insane. But, you know, we are a lowly free-to-play player. Just kidding. I bought monthly. But, yeah. My opponent last picks Aiden, but I genuinely do not care. Because I think with the Flan Death Break, it should kill through miss. But we just ban Armin just because we just don't want to deal with the counter shenanigans, and we can ignore Kayron for last if we really have to. So I'm thinking that we should be fine. I'm anticipating that my opponent actually bans the Ludwig here because it's the only ignore ER shenanigans we have going on. But it turns out they banned Flan, and the reason for that is that we'll soon find out. But when we go into the first match, my opponent is not a believer in immunity, which is honestly same. Immunity is overrated, well, except for like Bad Cat Armin, I guess. But it doesn't matter if Bad Cat Armin survives. It's like if like all the remaining DPSs die, you know? But we're gonna open up, fair and balanced, Amid, push up our entire team, ignore ER Soulbird on Kayron, so he's useless, or, you know, more useless than he is before. Which is a hard ask. We don't want to proc Aiden's counter just yet, so we proc it right here with Ludwig S3. Hey, I was kind of expecting my Ludwig to kill there through miss, but apparently my Ludwig's not good enough, so very disappointing. And to finish it all off, we press the Weedman S3 and kill everything through miss. very, very tragic. I'm so sorry, Mr. Rico Suave. Like, you're just trying to have fun, and I said not today. But it's boring if you just watch Cleave do its thing for like 3 hours. So we're gonna try and showcase a few different things today, especially how this cleave functions as like a turn 2 type of cleave, because that's something that's very unique about this cleave, I think, is because a lot of the time if you get outsped in a cleave situation, you kind of just lose just because, you know, you didn't take turn 1. But this cleave is made to survive like Rand and Peira and other like really fast units. It doesn't do so well against Acid, but the two main ones are Rand and Peira, especially since my Amid is at a competitive speed for most Conqueror Lilies. For the second game though, we're gonna continue picking our cringe cleave shit, but my opponent, the Cuck Boy, is trying out the new Abigail unit. I've heard some pretty good things about Abigail. I heard that she's like very oppressive in standard because, you know, like your lane you're standing just gets cursed and dies. But personally for me, in most aggro situations, I think Abigail is kind of avoidable, or like you can just kill her, or there's a lot of things that can be done. Basically I just picked my openers because I wasn't too keen on picking green Vildred into a fire unit, because it's not the worst thing in the world, but it leads to like awkward situations where Vildred actually has to land the 50% hit chance through element disadvantage to actually kill Abigail, because Abigail has a few weaknesses. You can either land unbuffable, so like AOL counters this unit, but like AOL counters like every unit, so are we surprised? Not really. She's countered by Peira, Bryceria. She's countered by like overwhelming AoE damage that just kills your entire team and stuff like that. And she's actually also soft countered by things like Flan, where the unhealable actually really matters because it just means the unit's left at 1 HP, and then like Flan can lap around and like poke up with an S1 and they die. Anyway, my opponent's going like hard into the anti-cleave, so I decided to do something even more cringe, which is pick Arya DC in the 4-5 position, which is a pretty pretty funny cleave transition. And I actually have had Dark Corvus like plus 15 for the longest while, but I just never got around to building him. But then I realized I never picked SCROL anyway, so why not just put the gear onto Dark Corvus, you know? And so here we are. We just kind of have to ban out APOC here because APOC does too much injury. And we're going to show how this cringe draft works, even if you do use it in a way that is probably not intended. My opponent obviously bans out the Arya just because Arya has the element advantage thing going for her, and she has ER presumably to resist Sage and everything, and she can easily solo Abigail and Benimaru, but it should be fine. We can't press anything with our Amid just because you don't want to proc Benimaru, while Dark Corvus should be able to resist. I don't want him to eat too much ship damage before he has to, you know? Oh, just kidding. I proc Benimaru because I just didn't care. I was crazy. I was a sadist cleaver around. We push up Politis, but this is what I mean by this comp isn't stopped by a lot of these cringe answers. I could have pushed up here with Politis if I really wanted to. I just opted not to. And interestingly, my opponent put their own Abigail in the back, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And at the current time I was playing this game, I wasn't too sure how the interaction would work, because if you didn't know, the interaction between A-Rods is that if he puts himself in the back, he gets the shield, but I'm not sure if that's how it works with Abigail, because they have to die first. And I'm not too sure if Abigail dies first or her immortality procs first. Anyway, find out with me, friends. We're doing this experiment for science. We kind of just have to speed up the match here because, you know, it's like Dark Corvus versus 4. It's a Dark Corvus solo. Abigail does injure us with her S3, but I don't think it matters too much. It all hinges on whether Abigail procs her own S2, but it turns out she doesn't. And now this guy is giga doomed because what is he gonna do? I don't think Benny Morrow does enough damage to actually kill this Dark Corvus, especially since I can just provoke lock this Benny Morrow forever and force him to feed my Dark Corvus. My aim does end up going down here, and that's even worse for my opponent because now he's just forced to continuously hit into Dark Corvus and proc him. He gets a lucky dual attack, but it's actually lucky for me because I get my passive sooner. We blow up the Benny, and my opponent is just continuing to rope me, I guess. But, you know, can't really blame him. You need those preseason points for, like, I don't know, swag bucks or whatever. We just continuously poke into his Sage Ball, blow up his Sage Ball with a D Corvus S3, and now my opponent realizes that there's no way he can actually win this, and leaves. So that's pretty good. But I don't know. I definitely do find this type of draft like fun, but I don't know if it's like the most fun to watch because you kind of just end up picking the same like 7 units over and over. But you know, that is Cleave. But I might actually just incorporate some elements of this team into my regular RTA season because I actually do quite like it a lot. I just don't think it's an everyday kind of thing. So I might just like allocate gear so my aim is like 295 instead of 305 or whatever. But we're going to the next match and I first pick Politis and my opponent's like, oh, bet, I'm gonna race. And I was like, bet, me too, I have a cleaver. I'm an ally, just kidding, just kidding. No, but yeah, we're just imprint racing now. He's picking up like the really common imprints like Sid, Watcher Shuri, but as long as my Amid is able to cut in between like their Sid and Rand, we should be fine. And it should be, because like my Amid is not, you know, she's not like Omega speed, but she's not slow by any means. They surprisingly go for the Fire Coward here, which I wasn't expecting. So I'm kind of forced, well, not really forced, because I wanted to. I just picked more speed. I pick Acid 2 as my last speed contester, and then my opponent's probably going to last pick like BBK or K-Ron or some shit that I'm going to have to be forced to ban, which is kind of unfortunate. Or it's going to be another imprint, in which case I'll ban that instead. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Take a shot every time I say we'll have to see this video. You'll probably die. Oh, they pick RB. I don't care at all about RB. I ban out Wajashuri, they ban out, what's it called? Amid. That kind of hurts because Amid is my favorite, or not, my top speed unit currently in my draft. But, yeah. My opponent does outspeed me, which is kind of tragic, considering I'm an imprint down.
Okay, that was homophobic.
Okay. That emo was homophobic. No, I'm just kidding. But, sorry. I almost forfeit there out of a force of habit, but luckily I did ban his sachets, so even if he does kill Acid, it should be fine considering, or like, not considering, if he doesn't Arnow. Luckily he does not. Politis is able to cut up. We kill the RB here just to proc him, and then we go for the Politis S3 to do maximum damage possible. And since Politis is really fair and balanced and cuts all CR game by like 50%, Weedred is actually able to cut here because RB doesn't cut enough CR and so many things die that his passive procced multiple times. And then we're able to put this Rand emoter in their place. So what's good, fam? What's good? But this is what I mean by this Cleave comp being like flexible and not necessarily needing turn 1. Because this game could have gone differently too. Like if he chose not to press his S2 there, it just means that his Rand wouldn't have killed anything on my team because he doesn't have attack buff, and then my Acid would have gone on to kill something else. We go into the next match where my opponent very rudely bans Conquerilius, but for once I'm not affected because my Conquerilius is actually stripped in this video. Very, very rare, I know. My opponent once again picks Rand. Must be nice, dude. Must be nice. My Conquerilius is only 309 speed. I don't have a 320 Rand. So like my life in Epic 7 is very hard. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. I know I'm very blessed and highly favored. But my opponent just continues picking imprints. I guess I wasn't the only cringer in Epic 7 that day. But, you know, what can you do? My opponent picks Peira, and this is great, because this is the few times where getting outsped by these two units actually does nothing. Because the whole core of this draft revolves around picking a lot of these green units that don't really care about Rand or Peira. It's very unlikely that they'll die even through RNL because you have to pass a lot of 50-50 checks. I've banned Kayron last, and I think that's a mistake on my part because I had Amen and Flan, and they're very unlikely to get killed by Kayron even in High Frenzy. I should have just banned like Sid or something. But we do go into the match here, and this is what I mean. Restart the match. Random Peira outspeed us because they're an imprint up, and they also have like 20 base speed on top of us. That's fine. Whatever. We don't care. Cope. Giga cope. But let's see what my opponent goes to do. They can't really S2, to be honest, because Politis is about to kill Sid. But my opponent, I guess, is just praying for RNLs, which is honestly not the worst thing in the world. A lot of people do it, but let's see this Rand S3 damage, and my Politis is tuned to survive Rand, and then we just soul burn like 50 times into my opponent's team, or at least that's what I was going to do. And there you go. We get the easy W. I think, like, obviously this isn't the most reliable comp because there are times where Rand will just like RNL like 3 times in a row and wipe out your entire team. But statistically speaking, it's not that frequent. And a lot of people, especially earlier in the season, just like tend to try and not race just because they think you can tank down, but I don't know. Trying to tank down Amid and Flan is a very, very, very tall ask for most players, unless you're named like Cyanox or something, because I'm sure he has like a 5 million FRES anti-cleave option available somewhere. But yeah, we go into the next match. Amid is pre-banned, and that is one criticism I will say I have about my account, which is that it is overly reliant on one speed unit, and that one speed unit is going to be like the centerpiece of most of my drafts. And not having that really hurts because putting all your gear, all your best gear on someone just to have it banned out is a really bad feeling. But we move on. My opponent picks Celine here. Normally Celine is a pretty bad pick into my drafts because I can pick Amid and BBK and kind of ignore her. But since she banned the Amid part of that draft, I'm kind of like forced to figure out a solution how to deal with this Celine and this Karina and this AOL while somehow dealing with Kayron, and I'm like, oh, we're probably gonna lose if I'm not gonna lie. But we're still gonna try our best because we're cringe cleavers, and cringe cleavers never give up. Except for that time, like 10 minutes ago when I got outsped and almost instantly forfeit a match I was about to win. But yeah, we pick a BBK here just as a bait for the Celine. And as a last pick, I think I need to pick Bryceria or APOC as an anchor. I was thinking Bryceria just because it's another Celine bait, but that probably guarantees that my what's-his-face is gonna get banned. My Flan is gonna get banned. So the ban I go for here is AOL because I'm not too sure if this is a immunity set AOL. And I was pretty sure my opponent was going to be an APOC because APOC is an anchor into that team. I was thinking of picking Dark Corvus. Dark Corvus into AOL is really annoying, so I didn't want to do that either. But we start the match. One of my units is about to die here, unless it's BBK, but that was a sacrifice I was willing to make. And we press our buttons. Celine procs here. Oh, it's Architect Leica. I'm very, very sad. F in the chat for Architect Leica. She wasn't even highest attack. The Celine's just on stealth EE. What could you do? I push up BBK, but since I am a baby cleaver, I did not actually have my flan CR push EE. So my BBK isn't actually able to cut. We do get our attack buff stripped, which kind of sucks, but we did get Death Break to land on this Karina, so hopefully we're able to one-shot Karina, and we are. And now that we're in this position, we kind of just have to kill off Celine, so Celine can't kill off BBK. Which is what I do here, and with the 50% CR push, we should be able to lap around Sage Ball. Now it's my opponent's turn, and Kayron is able to like freely go and reset here. But the beauty of this team is that Flan and Amid just don't really care about these BBK Kayron anchors because they provide so much flexibility. I do the Diane Pray emote here, not for BM, just to pray for no counters, but obviously I get immediately punished with a counter attack, so I'm like, oh, kind of unfortunate. We luckily do not get a counter attack there. We flan S2 pass our turn, and hopefully this Kayron does not hit us, but he does end up hitting us, but we do manage to survive, and Flan's able to pew pew them and kill him for the win. So yeah, that was a showcase of my entrance into my Cleave era for this preseason. I've been having a lot of fun and like pretty decent success, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, 70% is not bad, but like again, it's preseason, so we'll have to see. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry if you kind of hear my congested nose. I just have really bad allergies and I can't really control those. But yeah, please stay tuned for next week when I'm going to try out Jacko after buff because she's an anchor with C. Lilius, and I'll catch you next time.